I'm glad you could join me again today. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about Dragon Ball GT. I just finished watching the third anime and I will tell you what I liked, what I disliked, I'll give you my thoughts, and at the end, I will give Dragon Ball GT a rating. And like in the last video, I will go through all the story arcs within the anime. So it had 4 story arcs which are called sagas, and I'll go through all 4 sagas and telling you what I liked and what I disliked. So here we go. Dragon Ball GT was first aired in 1996, so 10 years after the original Dragon Ball anime was aired. And this time around, it wasn't based on a manga. It was just solely made for TV as a sequel to Dragon Ball Z, which is the second Dragon Ball anime. The first 2 Dragon Ball animes, so Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, were based on the manga created by Akira Toriyama. So this time around, Dragon Ball GT again was just made for TV, and for years it was thought that Akira Toriyama wasn't involved into the creative process of Dragon Ball GT. But in later years, it kind of surfaced that he was kind of involved into the creative process in Dragon Ball GT. So he provided concept arts and story elements. So for a lot of people, it is kind of an argument if Dragon Ball GT is canon or not canon. But yeah, that is just something I want you to know. So Dragon Ball GT starts right after Dragon Ball Z, a couple of years after Dragon Ball Z, and it is a direct continuation of the story. And one of the first things that I noticed that I really liked, by the way, before I started watching Dragon Ball GT, I didn't have any expectations at all. I've never seen Dragon Ball GT before, and I didn't know almost anything about Dragon Ball GT. I was really familiar with the first 2 manga series and the first 2 animes, but again I was kind of excited to finally watch Dragon Ball GT after all these years, but I didn't know anything, so I went in without any expectations. And the first thing that I noticed that I really liked, again, was the art style. It was a direct continuation of the art style of Dragon Ball Z. It looked really good. I liked the backgrounds and the characters. It was on par with the art style of Dragon Ball Z, and this was something that I was really happy about, because I kind of thought maybe this will be a bit cheaper, a bit, not at the same level as Dragon Ball Z, but it wasn't the case. And let's go to the first saga, the Black Star Saga. The way they started the story was something that I really liked. You see Son Goku and Up finishing their training after years, and then you can see Prince Pilaf and his 2 henchmen sneaking up onto the hideout, the HQ of Kami, and they try to get their hands onto a new set of Dragon Balls, the Black Star Dragon Balls, which I thought was pretty cool. We haven't heard of them before, and they just came out of nowhere, so this was a thing that me and my wife didn't like, because it felt like a Deus Ex Machina a little bit. Maybe this was something from the movies, we didn't watch all of these movies, but in the canon of the animes and the manga, you never heard of the Black Star Dragon Balls, so it took us a while to get used to that. But what basically happens is that Son Goku, because of an accident, turns into a kid, and this is where our story starts. What I thought was pretty cool was that we saw Prince Pilaf after all these years. He was one of the first characters introduced into Dragon Ball, and he kind of aged and was old, and I thought that was pretty cool. And this kind of theme was going throughout the whole Dragon Ball GT thing, but I come to this a little bit later at the end. And this new set of Dragon Balls, the Black Star Dragon Balls, they are a bit different to the original Dragon Balls from Earth. The original Dragon Balls, as soon as you make your wish, they are just scattered around the Earth and you have to find them. And this new set, after the wish was made by Prince Pilaf, which was kind of an accident, these Dragon Balls are divided throughout the whole universe. And this is where a story starts. We see all the characters from all the other animes, but basically the focus is on 3 characters. It is Son Goku, Trunks, and Pan. And these 3, Pan is, by the way, is Son Goku's granddaughter. And these 3 set off in a spaceship into space to find these new set of Dragon Balls, because these new set of Dragon Balls released some kind of negative energy that will destroy Earth in, I think it was 1 year. So this is where the adventure starts. That's something I really love, the beginning of Dragon Ball GT, except where are these new set of Dragon Balls, these Black Star Dragon Balls are from. They just came out of nowhere. But except that, I really liked the first saga, because the main focus of the saga was on adventure. You had these 3 characters setting to space, going from planet to planet. You had all these solo episodes where they went to different kind of planets, saw different kind of aliens and races, and they tried to get their hands onto the 7 Dragon Balls. And this was something I really, really loved. This was one of my favorite Dragon Ball moments, anime moments of them all. I really loved that. In that first saga, we had this Loot arc, Luud, which was an antagonist that they kind of stumbled upon, and the Loot arc was one of the ones that I didn't like. It was kind of weird. You had a weird character playing with puppets, and it went into a weird direction. But besides this one small little arc within the first saga, I loved the first saga. The Black Star Saga was really cool. And the Black Star Saga also introduced like the main villain for the next saga, which was the Baby Saga. The introduction of this character wasn't the best, I would say, but it was cool. But the way it progressed was really nice. And I think the end of the Baby Saga, Baby was basically the new big villain in GT, the first big villain, like Boo was before him, or Cell, or Frieza. And the end of the saga was a bit long, was a lot of fighting. We still had a lot of adventure going on in the second saga, and it was full of cool moments, but only the ending was dragging a little bit, so it was fine. But after that came the third saga, which was the Super 17 saga, and the beginning was awesome. You basically had a portal in the sky opening, which was a portal to hell, and you basically had all the Dragon Ball villains coming back to Earth straight from hell, and this kind of was awesome. The first 2 episodes of that saga were amazing. I loved that. But here's the thing, the Super 17 saga, just to keep it short, was my least favorite saga in Dragon Ball GT. It wasn't bad. If this is the first thing you see about Dragon Ball, it's probably amazing. But the thing I didn't like about it, it felt like rinse repeat. It felt like been there, done that for the 5th time now. Characters were dying, the stakes were the same, like Earth is in danger, we have this villain who's pumping up, who's going through different stages. All the beats that were happening felt really familiar, and it felt kind of like just more of the same. So this is the reason why I didn't like it. But again, if you would just watch it for the first time, I think it could be pretty awesome. And then came the 4th saga, which is called the Shadow Dragon Saga. And man, I love that so much. That was such a cool saga. I don't want to give away too much. You have like a dark dragon coming out of cracked Dragon Balls. And the story basically is that the heroes always were making good, positive wishes, and they were using the Dragon Balls too often. So negative energy was collected in these Dragon Balls. They started to crack, and the characters actually tried to summon Shenrong, which is the good dragon, the green one, but this blue, dark, evil dragon came out, and the beginning of that saga was amazing. And again, I don't want to give too much away. You had a second big villain, which was Omega Shenron. That was pretty cool. And each Dragon Ball had like an entity fighting. So you had 7 sub-bosses and 1 like mega boss, and that was so cool. I really liked that. So my favorite sagas in Dragon Ball GT was the first saga, the Black Star Saga, and the last saga, the Shadow Dragon Saga. The end of Dragon Ball GT, the Shadow Dragon Saga, was really emotional, I thought. It had a really emotional moment. I wasn't tearing up or anything, but it was like, wow, that's heavy, because after half a year now, me and my wife, we watched every Dragon Ball episode. I think it's now over 500 episodes that we watched, a couple of episodes every day. And if you think about that, back then it was 10 years, from 1986 to 1996, and people were watching this every week. And the conclusion of Dragon Ball GT was pretty emotional. I liked it very much. And after half a year watching this for almost every night, it was really emotional. I don't want to give away too much, but I absolutely can recommend Dragon Ball GT. I had a blast watching it. It was so cool. Again, I loved the art style. It was on par with Dragon Ball Z, like I said. It looked really cool. I liked that they were, at the beginning, went to so many different planets. One thing that I didn't like so much was the music, especially at the first half. I think you could divide this show into 2 halves. The first half had all the adventure going on, which was amazing, and the second half was a bit more epic and fighting, which I noticed in Dragon Ball I don't prefer so much. I prefer the adventure and the character development. But another thing that these 2 halves shared was the music, because the music in the first half was definitely a downgrade to the music of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, which came prior to Dragon Ball GT, because it felt like it wasn't an orchestra and a live band anymore. It felt like one guy playing on a MIDI keyboard somewhere in the basement and doing the sounds. Like the content of the music, the notes and the melodies, they were great, but the sound, it felt really cheap and a bit like a downstep or backstep from Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. But I think they might have noticed, because in the second half of Dragon Ball GT, the music got way better. It felt more orchestrated and more like a live band at some parts. You had great melodies, a great soundtrack. So the music was something at the beginning I was like, I don't like this. It's not as good as prior Dragon Ball stuff. But at the end I was kind of, okay, they redeemed themselves. At the second half, they introduced lots of awesome melodies and songs. So that's the music. One thing that was pretty cool, I thought, was to see all these characters after all these years. Again, back then, you would have watched Dragon Ball throughout 10 years. We watched this throughout half a year. And seeing all these characters starting out as kids. And in Dragon Ball GT, they basically are grandparents. They have gray hair and beards, and they went through a lot of hardships and a lot of changes. And that was something that was really, again, at the end especially, it was really emotional and really cool to see. Like, for instance, let's say Krillin. You see this small little guy, this Shaolin monk, training with Son Goku, and at the end he's a grandfather, family man, and he got kind of old. And this was really emotional, really cool to see. And this was something I really liked about Dragon Ball GT. But also, on the other hand, I have to say that character development wasn't a big point in Dragon Ball. You could argue and say it's not about that in Dragon Ball in general. I would kind of disagree, especially if you consider the mangas, and especially if you consider the first Dragon Ball anime and manga, the original story. You have character development, and in Dragon Ball GT, lots of characters felt like they kind of fell flat, and they were just using them for background material. Almost the same as in Dragon Ball Z, which I talked about in the last Dragon Ball episode. It's not bad, not at all. The dialogue, the characters are fine, but it's not going really deep. And yeah, it's just, it falls a bit flat, especially compared to the first Dragon Ball anime. What I really liked was the introduction of a new power level of Son Goku, Super Saiyan 4. That was pretty awesome. I don't give away too much, but that was a big thing in the show, which I loved. But this also brings me again to another con, or a point that I didn't like so much, is that the power levels at the beginning of Dragon Ball and at the beginning in the first half of Dragon Ball Z, power levels were really meaningful. They were like a big part of the show. The power levels were something really important in the first Dragon Ball show and Dragon Ball Z, and they always emphasized on how people get a bit stronger, and this always made sense, and power levels were really important in the show, and they did a great job portraying that and giving weight to that, and it had a meaning. But in Dragon Ball GT, it kind of fell flat as well. Like Son Goten, Son Gohan, these are the sons of Son Goku. They were just fighting in their normal forms most of the time without going into Super Saiyan 1 or 2, or without even like doing a fusion. I mean, we had Trunks and Goten. They could have fused together and be Super Saiyan 3 and all that stuff. But for Dragon Ball GT, unfortunately, it kind of felt like the power levels didn't mean that much anymore. It was just Son Goku and Vegeta powering up, and everybody else was weak. But I think this was kind of not believable, and they didn't do a great job with that. But that's basically it. I think Dragon Ball GT, did I enjoy it? Was it worth watching? Absolutely. I love Dragon Ball GT. I had a couple of things that I didn't like, but this wasn't something that was holding me back to enjoy myself. I think Dragon Ball GT did a great job. It looked great. It had a cool story. I love to see that we went into the future and saw where characters are going after all these years. So that was pretty cool. And if you ask me, I haven't watched Dragon Ball Super now. This is the next show I will watch. And spoiler alert, I already watched the first couple of episodes, so I'm excited for my impressions on Dragon Ball Super in the near future here on our show. But for Dragon Ball GT, I think so far for me this is canon, because it is kind of a question, is it canon or not? I loved where it was going, I loved the ending, I loved the characters, even though they maybe fell flat here and there, but the story of the characters were great, the music got better, and I love the first and the last saga. In my opinion, you could have just taken these two sagas and combined them with each other. But it is what it is. I think the Super 17 saga and the Baby saga weren't bad. They were enjoyable as well. So I love Dragon Ball GT. I love watching it. After all these years, finally I watched it. So what would I give Dragon Ball GT? I was thinking about this a long time. Me and my wife put our heads together and we thought about what could we give this show, how could we rank it, and we thought about this for a while. We had a little discussion and we did a countdown at the end, like 3, 2, 1, and then we set our score, and we both ended up saying 8 out of 10. So I'll give Dragon Ball GT an 8 out of 10, which puts it slightly behind Dragon Ball Z. So my ranking so far would be Dragon Ball the original show with 9.5 out of 10. Then we have Dragon Ball Z with 8.5 out of 10. And then we have Dragon Ball GT with 8 out of 10. It was a great show. I liked it. And yeah, I can't wait to finish Dragon Ball Super now and do the episode on Dragon Ball Super. I really hope you enjoyed this video. And take care. I see you in the next one. Bye bye.